Page 1, a message from Mrsmithentop. Hey everyone, I want to take a moment and speak directly to all of you. The Scope 3 community, the testers, the early adopters, the curious, the committed. This isn't just another product update. This is something bigger. You've seen Scope 3 grow from a focused tool to a serious piece of software. You've seen how every update comes from user needs, not hype, not marketing fluff, but precision. I've built Scope 3 to solve real problems for real players. It's clean, respectful of game integrity, and it always stays in its lane. But lately, there's been confusion. Another product has appeared on the scene, one that looks and sounds remarkably similar. Their branding, their name, their namespace, all echo mine. The difference, they came after. Let me make this perfectly clear. Scope 3 is the original. Scope 3 is legally protected. Scope 3 is mine, and always will be. Some of you noticed. Some of you even reached out confused, thinking their work was mine. It wasn't. What you're seeing is brand dilution, and behind the scenes, I've had to take action to protect this thing we've built together. I've filed DMCA takedowns. I've responded to impersonation attempts. I've documented the use of my marketing language, even my versioning style. I've watched developers from the other camp show up in my Discord pretending to be customers, demanding I market more, not to help me, but to lift their app by confusing the space. But I'm not here to rant. I am here to clarify. Scope 3 is built with surgical intent. I'm in direct contact with game developers to ensure it remains in fair standing. No one gets banned for using Scope 3. We don't inject. We don't modify. We don't cheat. And now we're adding Auto Push to Talk, an extension I designed myself, not suggested by the community, but created to serve it. It gives streamers, competitive players, and focused communicators a way to keep their mic responsive without holding down a key, while still respecting game audio rules. What we're building here is about trust, clarity, and function. Not shortcuts, not hype, not deception. Page 2, Scope 3 versus brand cloning. Facts you need to know. This page isn't about drama. It's about clarity and protection of our identity. When I launched Scope 3, I didn't just build an app. I built a namespace, a signature posture, and a community-centered design philosophy. Everything, from the name to the UI, from the release strategy to the user support, was developed in-house and in full alignment with fair use, platform compliance, and original identity. I engineered Scope 3 from scratch. Scope 3 was not cloned, copied, or borrowed. I built it, personally. Every line of logic, every UI decision, every tool integration came from my own research, testing, and intent. I engineered Scope 3 to solve a very real problem. Gamers leaning into their screens, squinting for clarity, breaking posture just to stay competitive. This wasn't some spin-off of another product. This was, and is, a unique solution I designed for real users with real needs. From idea to prototype to release, Scope 3 is 100% authored by me, Mrsmithentop, without the help or influence of any outside product or company. That's what makes these clone attempts so offensive. They didn't just borrow an idea. They tried to confuse users into believing it came from the same place. What happened? A separate product, Scope X, appeared after Scope 3's release, replicating several of our core presentation elements. The scope, naming structure, directly overlapping our namespace. UI and UX designs, eerily similar to Scope 3's modular layout. Marketing headlines and update formats mimicking our tone and structure. Discord behavior from related parties mimicking our phrasing and support posture. To the untrained eye, this may have looked like coincidence, but when stacked together, the overlaps created a market identity conflict, legally known as brand dilution. Why brand dilution is serious. In trademark and copyright law, first use in commerce carries weight. The party who launches first and uses a namespace publicly in commercial context holds rights over that space, especially if confusion or damage results from imitation. Scope 3 was first. Scope 3 was public. Scope 3 was documented. Scope 3 was established before Scope EX existed. Brand dilution is when a competing product tries to adopt similar branding in order to siphon trust, attention, or user association from an existing brand. It confuses customers, it undermines clarity, and it causes reputational harm. What we've seen. Some users who tried Scope X reached out to me, directly asking, "Will I get banned for using Scope 3 too?" Is Scope 3 a rebrand of Scope X, or are you the same developer? These are not isolated cases. Multiple users expressed worry after Scope X was warned in certain game communities for being unauthorized or improperly interacting with games. This confusion affects our credibility, and that's not acceptable. Scope 3 has never caused a ban. Scope 3 has never been flagged as unsafe. Scope 3 is built with cooperation in mind, not exploitation. I personally speak with game developers to ensure we remain on safe, collaborative ground, never stepping on terms of service or fair play boundaries. My legal response. This isn't something I take lightly. I've issued formal DMCA takedowns against cloned assets and branding violations. I'm maintaining full documentation of visual and structural similarities. I have legal conversations ongoing, but I'll let the results speak when the time is right. I've archived impersonation efforts, including members associated with Scope X entering our Discord, pretending to be customers, and trying to pressure me into marketing more, not for our growth, but to cover up their shortfalls. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are time-stamped, archived facts, where we draw the line. Scope 3 is about innovation, not imitation. We build clean, ethical, high-performance tools that respect the games you love and the platforms we release on. We don't get users banned, we don't step outside legal boundaries, and we don't impersonate. I'm not just defending Scope 3, I'm defending you. This project is about giving you tools that feel like an extension of your own gameplay style. Tools that make sense, that respect your setups, that never put your accounts or games at risk. That's why we draw the line so clearly and stand by it. Page 3. From the trenches of esports. Why Scope 3 had to exist. Let me take you back, before Scope 3. Before the noise, the copycats, the community, and even the tool itself, there was just me. A competitive player, climbing the ranks the hard way. I wasn't a prodigy. I didn't have flashy sponsors or viral clips. What I had was discipline, grind, and pain. Lots of it. I entered esports with fire, but I didn't make it through on passion alone. I had coaches, real ones, who broke me down to milliseconds and micro movements. It wasn't just about playing the game. It was about playing it in a hyper-optimized, inhumanly efficient way, until that method of play became me. The pressure you never see on stream. Imagine having your coach freeze footage to correct your eyeball drift, or being told that a half-inch head tilt was the reason you lost a clutch, that your reaction time dropped by 6 milliseconds because your neck wasn't at the right tension angle. That was my world. This wasn't just keyboard and mouse. This was a machine, and I was one of the parts. I was taught eye-tracking drills, reaction pattern loops, eye-streaming discipline, and postural lock-ins that had to hold through 6-hour scrims. Eye streaming, the heart of what makes Scope 3 possible, was an unspoken secret in those rooms. We trained our eyes to scan the screen, edge to edge, without moving the mouse. We ran drills that mimicked eye saccades, those micro-jerks your eyes make, to increase cognitive processing across multiple HUD elements. We were tested on how long we could scan 5 information zones while holding muscular tension in the jaw and neck to prevent posture loss. And then the pain came. At first, I ignored it. Everyone did. Neck stiffness. Stretch more. Eye blur. Blink less. Tension headaches? Sleep better. But the truth is, we were injuring ourselves for the sake of awareness. It caught up to me hard. My neck started locking during games. My left shoulder became numb after sessions. I got dizzy after long sessions due to oculomotor fatigue. My back curved from years of leaning into the screen unconsciously. My emotional regulation dipped from chronic sympathetic overload, fight or flight. At tournaments, I'd go from stage lights and adrenaline straight into near blackout migraines. I was fighting for milliseconds, and it was taking years off my physical wellness. And no one knew. No one saw. Because these aren't the battle scars people talk about. Why Scope 3 was born. Scope 3 was never some experiment in power. It was born from that quiet suffering, the kind only serious players understand. I wanted a tool that gave me back what I lost. I engineered Scope 3, not to boost performance, but to stop the decay. So others didn't have to bend forward to feel locked in. So players didn't have to destroy their necks to keep control. So competitive clarity could be brought to the average player without physical cost. So that eye-streaming precision could be simulated without years of neural programming. And it works, but I get it. To someone who hasn't trained this way, Scope 3 can seem alien, even suspicious. Like, why does it look like this? Why does it feel different? Because it's replicating a style of gameplay that used to live only in the bodies of the broken. Scope 3 simulates what pro players put their bodies through, minus the harm. That's why it's unfamiliar. That's why it's powerful. That's why it's necessary. Balance, not advantage. Let me be absolutely clear. Scope 3 is balanced, period. Each zoom level is engineered to provide clarity, not dominance. The system avoids competitive gaps by capping max zoom intelligently, keeping overlays minimal, offering equal visibility profiles across every option, and enforcing stability between mouse versus keyboard control preferences. Nobody using Scope 3 gets an edge over someone else, but they do get relief. That's the goal. Not to take from others, but to give back what competition takes from us. Our health, our posture, our peace, from my body to yours. I built this because I had to. Because I couldn't do it anymore. Because I knew I wasn't the only one breaking their body to stay in the game. I'm not just a developer. I'm one of you. I played until it broke me. Then I built a tool that would stop others from breaking too. Scope 3 is the tool I wish I had when I needed it most. And now, it's yours. Page 4. Respect, not rebellion. The developer's line I refuse to cross. Let me shift focus from esports to engineering. From the moment Scope 3 went from personal necessity to public release, I knew what kind of developer I wanted to be. Not someone trying to fly under the radar. Not someone bypassing detection systems. And never, never, someone who risks a player's account or reputation just to push out a feature faster. This is where Scope 3 draws a hard line. I work with the spirit of the games, not against them. I talk to developers, a lot. Every feature I add is weighed with care, because Scope 3 isn't just software. It's a promise to do things the right way. That means I have open conversations with game developers. I listen carefully to their concerns around competitive integrity. I avoid any feature that introduces exploitable behavior. Scope 3 never injects into games, hooks game processes. Everything it does runs externally, transparently, and ethically. That's why no Scope 3 user has been banned. And that's by design, not luck, where Scope X crossed the line and why it matters. This isn't a rivalry. This isn't competition. This is about integrity. Scope X released a set of features that go beyond ergonomic assistance and into unfair mechanical advantage. Things I explicitly chose not to implement because I've spoken directly with developers and understand the risks. Their version introduces unauthorized visual augmentations, game-facing manipulation layers, input behavior that mimics assisted targeting. These things do not align with esports ethics or developer guidelines. They create an imbalance, and developers notice. The result? Players using Scope X have been banned in certain games. Developers are forced to grow suspicious of any tool that bears the name Scope, and my ability to build relationships and partnerships is damaged, despite having done nothing wrong. Scope 3 is not an overlay, cheat, or exploit. Scope 3 doesn't patch drivers. It doesn't alter memory. It doesn't hide behind DLL tricks. It is a purely external tool, just like Discord or OBS, that exists beside your game, not inside it. Its focus is posture, clarity, and physical well-being, not advantage. Because I understand how small edge cases can ripple into ban systems, and I refuse to play that game. Brand contamination hurts real work. When Scope X mimics Scope 3's name, layout, and posture, then adds unauthorized, risky features, it doesn't just confuse players. It damages everything I've built. Developers now question the word scope. My product gets lumped into risk lists by association. Players are afraid to use Scope 3 because of bans caused by another team's reckless design. I built Scope 3 with discipline. I left power on the table, on purpose, to protect you. Scope EX didn't, and now you see the difference. Page 5, the unbreakable origin. This is a declaration. Scope 3 wasn't born from shortcuts. It was built from discipline, vision, and resolve. No templates, no cloning, no borrowed blueprints. And now that it's here, it will not be moved. My work stands alone. Scope 3 is engineered. I designed every mechanism, every customization, every layer of fairness baked into it was intentional. I didn't follow trends. I didn't rush to market. I built something that would last, something that couldn't be mistaken if you've ever actually used it. Others didn't build. They followed. They copied names, copied aesthetics, and positioned themselves inside my namespace. This isn't a rivalry. This is someone squatting on identity, trying to occupy the same air without breathing the same fire. Let them. Because nothing about Scope 3 is replicable. I've seen their play, and I wrote the counter. They came under disguise, infiltrated my community, demanded I market more so their clone could grow behind my momentum. That's not business. That's not competition. That's a parasite trying to feed on origin. But here's the problem with shadowing giants. You never grow your own stride. Scope 3 is recognized because it doesn't take shortcuts, and neither do I. The standard you can't touch. I didn't build Scope 3 to cheat systems. I built it to respect them, while fixing what most people didn't even realize was broken. Neck fatigue, eye exhaustion, the micro movements that wear you down after 1,000 hours of pushing your limits. That's what Scope 3 is for. Real correction, real relief, real playability. It doesn't break games, it restores gamers. It doesn't trigger bans, it earns trust. It's not flagged, it's welcomed. Because I took the time to make sure it fits into the ecosystem without bending the rules. This is not a defense, this is a warning. To my users, you are protected, you are seen. You are using the tool everyone else is trying to catch up to. To the copycats, you're not standing beside me. You're standing in my trail, and to the industry. Understand the difference between a tool of alleviation and a tool of advantage. I've had those conversations. I'll continue to have them. And Scope 3 will continue to stand on solid ground. I'm not just the creator, I'm the guardian. This is more than product protection. It's about preserving standards. I've already begun legal operations behind the scenes, and I'll escalate where necessary. I don't need to shout. I need to finish the work, and I will. This is about legacy. It's about showing that when you stand for something, it holds. Scope 3 is not a reaction. It's the benchmark. It's the original. It's the real one. And it does not yield. Mr. Smithentop.